Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to today's webinar. So my name is Katie Pazienza. I am the content writer at Freight Farms, where our mission is to build technology that makes farming easy and empowers people to grow fresh, healthy food in their local communities, wherever that may be. Today, you get to hear from one of our amazing customers, San Antonio Clubhouse, which is a nonprofit using one of our greenery-esque container farms as programming for individuals with mental illness. We're especially excited to be hosting this webinar this month, since May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So joining me for today's discussion is Josefina Hajek-Herrera, the head of community outreach for the Clubhouse Grows program at San Antonio Clubhouse, located in San Antonio, Texas. Josefina is going to tell us all about San Antonio Clubhouse, the individuals who participate in their programming, and how the organization's Freight Farm is incorporated into the mix. She'll touch upon how she's seen the farming program impact Clubhouse members facing mental health challenges and share advice for others looking to start up a farming program. This entire discussion is recorded, so if you miss anything, don't worry, we'll follow up with the recording. And of course, if you have questions throughout our discussion, please put them into the Q&A form on the Zoom panel, and Josefina will answer them live at the end of the conversation. All right, so let's get started. Hi, Josefina, how are you? Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today.
Hey, Katie, thanks so much for having me today. I really appreciate it.
So to start off, can you give our audience a brief introduction of yourself and who you are?
Absolutely. So like you said, I lead the community outreach at the San Antonio Clubhouse Farm. So our Clubhouse Farm is a part of the San Antonio Clubhouse as a whole with the same purpose, but consider it more of a separate entity. At the Clubhouse Farm, we work with charities and restaurants and cafes and various individuals in our community to see if they would like to be involved with the Clubhouse and our community in some way. So the Clubhouse is a network that is established throughout the nation, but in San Antonio, we have our own unique way of addressing mental health and recovery. And so we use the farm as that method.
Awesome. Great. And we'll dive much more into that in going forward. So can you dive just a little bit deeper into the mission and the goal of San Antonio Clubhouse for us?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're a nonprofit that serves individuals diagnosed with mental illness. Our goal is to provide a safe community where they can feel part of something more tangible and something family-like. We're just trying to find them a purpose, or if it's simply finding a job or just existing and contributing in the Clubhouse community. We just want to make an inclusive environment where they can feel, but also give compassion. So there's a lot of stigma around mental health and the overall recovery system. So our Clubhouse vision, which is a large part of our values, is to destigmatize mental health and recovery. And our San Antonio Clubhouse has a specific and unique way of doing that, and each clubhouse has their own way. And one method that we do that is by allowing Clubhouse members to govern themselves. And this clubhouse wouldn't work without them. So over time, it's evolved into a creation of their own making, and it's not something that's directed all by staff or by someone in an office higher up. So one method is also having that farm as a way for them to find a purpose and something that they're passionate about.
Really cool. I love that they're so involved in the whole process. It's not just a program for them, it's really them for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so you briefly mentioned that there are clubhouses, there are other clubhouses. So can you elaborate on that idea of the network of clubhouses for the audience?
For sure. So it's a nationwide system, and that's actually across the whole entire globe. These clubhouses are the low-cost, community-driven mental health programs, and there's over 300 across the world, and the US hosts most of them. So almost every state has a clubhouse, and some like Michigan have even tens of clubhouses. And I think Texas has about eight to nine. So overall, the mission is the same: to create a support system for people that are diagnosed with mental illness. But the methods in which they strive for that mission can look very different depending on which clubhouse you go to. So some have more of a clinical and medical approach, while ours have a more holistic approach to recovery. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. So let's move into talking about the members that frequent San Antonio Clubhouse. So what does it mean to be a member, and how can people become one?
Right. So Clubhouse members are the individuals who are diagnosed with mental health illness, and they seek the Clubhouse for many reasons. Some just want to be part of a community. Some want to find a job, and they see the Clubhouse as a way to do that. We can help them with that. We just want to find something that they're passionate about. And to be a part of the Clubhouse, you just need to reach out, begin a conversation with our staff. We want to make sure that each potential member understands the Clubhouse dynamic and is comfortable being a part of it. So we welcome everyone to come and take a tour, meet our staff, meet our members, check out the Clubhouse as a whole, the farm, and find if it's a place that they would be really comfortable in. Yeah.
Great, cool. And can you expand on some of the work that the members accomplish while they're at the Clubhouse? I know it's not just grueling hard work, but it's meaningful and rewarding. So I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Our Clubhouse is divided into three main sections. We have a wellness center, the farm, and then an employment department where they can try to secure a job in the community. And when members come to the Clubhouse every morning, they can choose what department that they would like to be a part of, whether that's cooking in the kitchen or helping transplant seedlings in the garden, or just applying for a job. There's a lot of autonomy when it comes to these roles, and the purpose is just to have a member find something that they're motivated in. So the Clubhouse members can really find meaning in any role that they take upon the Clubhouse, and we just let them kind of guide their decision.
Great. Mm-hmm. And can you tell us more about the value that members find in being a part of this community? Maybe some feedback that you've heard from members or some of those stories?
Yeah, definitely. So I would say overall, it just creates a sense of belonging and usefulness. I haven't been at the Clubhouse as long as some of our other staff, but it definitely sparks an interest of sorts. Specifically with the farm, it's always something that new members are really fascinated about, and it just attracts attention. And so once people settle in, they just find a daily routine that they really enjoy. And so overall, it's just helped them find something that they're passionate about, and it helps promote emotional and intellectual wellness in different ways, and really volunteering and joining the farm to create something for the community as a whole.
Great. I think that is a perfect segue to talking about freight farming at the Clubhouse. So can you tell us a little bit about the background of when San Antonio Clubhouse decided to look into bringing a farm to the organization?
Yeah, so this project started in 2017, and we applied for funding. We're able to implement the farm actually more in like 2019 and 2018, late 2018. So the main source of funding that was used to establish the farm was a grant provided by Impact San Antonio. And now the project is sustained with a combination of earned revenue and then private donations. But yeah, starting in 2019, we were able to establish that farm and begin like tracking progress over time.
Cool. And I love to hear that it was funded by a grant. So you're able to put on this programming for the community. And it was supported by the community, which is so great.
Yeah.
So how is the farm integrated within the clubhouse? Is it part of another program that existed prior to its arrival, or was it launched to create an entirely new program?
Yeah, so actually a common obstacle in the clubhouse model is creating new opportunities that are meaningful and exciting and achievable in almost an exclusively volunteer workforce. And so that's why we implemented the farm. And we saw it as a great opportunity where it could be led by mostly volunteer and just run on its own. So the farm was not a part of something that a previous project. This was a new project. No other clubhouse in the nation, in the world, has a hydroponic farm. But really, we wanted this to create like a hands-on approach. So for volunteers and members that are looking for something more physical as a part of their mental health recovery.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So between all of the members coming in and helping out, and then I know you're working in the farm pretty frequently, but I also know you have work to do in the community engagement areas. So how do you split and manage your time to like tend to this farm and making sure it's productive? And I'm curious to know if farmhand, our farming software, is like something that helps you make that happen.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, a lot of the work is done by the members. It's like a volunteer basis. And the farm is maintained and supported by them. But we also have a lot of staff working with main operations. So Tim and Karen, who will hop on later on, who mostly work in the farm. I don't as much. They're the ones who take on a lot of responsibility. And I know for Tim, he can touch on this later, but the software is really useful in maintaining the farm. I can't imagine that we could operate it without it having an automated system. And really just like with all the lights, the nutrients, the water supply, it just keeps it all going so that Tim can put his attention towards other things in the clubhouse. But he can definitely touch on that later. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I'll be sure to throw in that question later as well. Thanks. Okay, so can you speak more specifically to some of the work that members accomplish inside the farm, the actual activities they're doing around that farm work?
Definitely. So we have the typical cycle of growing produce, right? So from planting the seeds to, transplanting and harvesting the produce to maintaining the equipment. Oh, sorry, my voice is cutting out.
No worries.
Okay. So they support a lot of operations within the farm. Like I said, with planting, transplanting, there's a lot with harvesting produce and maintaining the equipment. On a weekly basis, we deliver produce to restaurants and cafes. So we have a lot of picking of produce to do. And especially with the type of produce we grow, like kale, it just is never ending. So it's a lot more harvesting than it is planting. but we do need to make sure that we're on top of those things. We also provide certain nutritious meals within the clubhouse. So part of it is not only harvesting, but preparing the salads or preparing these little boxes that we can provide staff and members just with fresh produce to take home.
Cool.
And then overall, yeah, if they find more interest in supporting, like reaching out to customers or going and delivering the produce, they can also do that.
Awesome. And you mentioned the kale. So what's in the farm right now? What are you growing currently?
Yeah, we focus on a lot of leafy greens for sure. I'd say they're more easier to maintain, and things that don't just grow very like wildly. So we grow, I think, 5 different types of lettuce, lots of romaine. We have a butterhead, a summer crisp, and then I mentioned kale. We have 4 different types of kale. Our most popular one is the dino kale, which is like a curly type of kale, also called black magic. And then we've tried other smaller things like carrots, baby beets, radishes grow really well. Mint grows absolutely wild. And my favorite is basil and edible flowers, which are the ones in the very center, those purple ones, the purple blue ones. Those are borage flowers, and they have like a cucumbery taste to them. It's really delicious.
That sounds so tasty. I'm so curious to try that borage. Not many of our farmers grow borage, but I think that's a fun one.
Yeah, it really is.
So then after members and staff harvest the produce, where does it go?
Right. So like I mentioned, we have worked with multiple cafes and restaurants, and then some charities in town. So there's one like a juice bar. Another is just a farm to table restaurant that we work with. And then there is a lot of sometimes leftover produce. So we like to consistently work with charities where they can provide fresh food to families in their neighborhood. And some are like churches, and just some are just donation centers and food boxes and like food pantries. We've also implemented some new systems where we make like salad boxes for individuals and fresh salads to take home. Members can also take boxes of produce that we harvest so they can prepare something for themselves at home. And then more recently, we've started a CSA program, community supported agriculture, where we've been able to provide boxes of produce to families and individuals in San Antonio. And that was a big success, and we'd love to continue it, to really just spread our mission and get Clubhouse members more engaged in the community.
Yeah, I think that seems like such a great way to spread the word about San Antonio Clubhouse and these awesome veggies, and get people in the community invested in what you're doing. So that's great. So what have been members' reactions when they taste the produce?
Yeah, so some are usually like amazed that we grow it in a closed container. You know, a lot of members, unless you tell them, like, people don't automatically realize that it's grown within our farm. So typically they're like more surprised, and they're just intrigued about the fact that we grow them. And like restaurants and charities, they love to kind of promote that it was like hydroponically grown. A lot of our one cafe that we work with uses like our kale as like the base of all their juices, and they just think it tastes really good, and so that's why they just love promoting it. Yeah, awesome. We get a lot of various reactions. It's pretty great.
Cool, that's great. And I'm curious to know, based off the it seems like the farm has been pretty successful. Does the clubhouse have any plans to expand programming and what you're doing with the farm, or bring an additional farm to the organization?
Yeah, it's definitely something we have talked about and something we're interested in. Applying for the type of funding that we received in 2017 is a lot to take on, but we would love to implement another farm in downtown, into another food desert, and support the neighborhoods and the communities in that area. It's something that really gets me excited, and I would love to have another project started. But right now, we are just focusing on the one farm. I think we want to maybe get a little more revenue from this farm and really use it to its full potential so that we can help establish a second farm.
Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And hopefully exciting things on the horizon too. That's awesome. So, as we mentioned at the beginning, one of the reasons that we were excited that you could join us this month, Josefina, is that it's Mental Health Awareness Month. So can you tell us a little bit more about how you found that farm work relates to healing from mental illness, and any recovery or positive steps you've seen members make in that journey?
Absolutely. Yeah. So this project was really focused to create opportunity for the members in like a team-based and more like physical labor type of activity. We want to create that meaningful sense of like community where they're less focused on, if they were not like in the clubhouse, it would be out of, isolation. We want to take them out of that and into the farm. So participation in this program has really helped with like self-confidence. It's helped them progress towards like their recovery goals and just overall improve mental health. The whole goal is to create that sense of community and escape like some of the negative parts of mental illness and isolation. So having this farm where you can come together and grow something together is pretty incredible. And that's what they really enjoyed it. So it definitely attracts a lot of individuals.
I love that. Thanks. That's great. And then is there any advice that you would like to share to anyone or with anyone in the audience who might be interested in joining a local clubhouse but isn't sure where to start?
Yeah, for joining, I would just say reach out and ask for a tour. The best way to get to know your local clubhouse is to visit. Like I said, there are various methods in which they explore recovery. So some are more clinical, but you never know like what's in your local clubhouse. So members and staff always love to have people visit. We have tours like every day. So if you're in the San Antonio area, definitely come check us out. We'd love to give a tour of our farm. But yeah, for in general clubhouses, each clubhouse has its own process of accepting new members, but overall, just get to know them a little bit, call them up and see if you can meet them in person. That's always a great way of starting.
Great, thanks. And then another piece of advice, do you have any advice for other nonprofits considering starting a farm? Absolutely, yeah. So starting a nonprofit is a little bit difficult in general, but for nonprofits that are established, really focusing on what is the problem you're solving. And when it comes to food and establishing a farm, there are a lot of food deserts throughout the US, and that's a major problem. There's a lot of just instability in the fresh produce community, and
being able to provide that to just your neighborhood would create a huge impact. So it's really comes down to identifying the problem and matching your farm or your nonprofit to that as a solution. So if you really have that, if you identify the problem, your nonprofit will succeed. It's just making sure that there's a match between that problem and solution. For us, our nonprofit was established before we started the farm. So having that network really did help us in already knowing the community and seeing what types of restaurants wanted to work with us. But as long as you do have a supportive community and you have the problem solution fit, then I would say you have like a great chance of succeeding.
Great.
Mhm.
And then I think that really makes a lot of sense what you say, like what's the problem you're trying to solve. Just curious for San Antonio Clubhouse, where like mental illness and farms, like there isn't that direct link of like, oh, they need food. So was it the work aspect that really connected that problem to the solution, or what was it for you guys?
Yes, we identify like the food insecurity, and then within our clubhouse, we also surveyed all the members and found out more about their eating habits and what they would like to see within the community, within our like specifically clubhouse community, and that we know that there's also a lot of food insecurity within the clubhouse. So we want to be able to provide them with like fresh produce that they can take home. Like organic food is very expensive to buy. So having that just sourced from the farm was like a great solution to that. And then we realized we could expand that into the San Antonio community as a whole. So to not only help with mental illness and create the mission, like continue our mission in the community, but also help with just nutrition and supporting the community in terms of like food insecurity. Yeah.
Great, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're going to move into the Q&A portion of today's webinar. So also joining us from San Antonio Clubhouse, we have Tim Lewis and Karen Arredondo. So they're going to be here to also help share more from the Clubhouse. And listeners, I encourage you to put any questions you have into the Q&A form on Zoom, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can. Let me just stop sharing my screen so I can see everyone. Tim and Karen, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Good, thanks. Right. So pulling up our questions. The first one that we have here is, how much time do you spend inside the farm each week?
So on a daily basis, roughly about 5 hours. We work in the morning after our lights go out. We start about 9 o'clock, 9 to 10 o'clock, and then we work till about noon. And then we take a break for lunch, and then we come back after our afternoon unit meeting where we delay up the assignments. From about 1:30. So we spend about 5 hours per day, so about maybe 25 hours per week on average inside doing the work.
Great. And when you say we, is it just you in there, or how many members are in there with you?
As you know, that there is freight farm, they're not huge containers, so we do have limited space. So about a maximum of about 3 people at a time. We'll come in 3, yeah, sometimes 4. And yeah, so about 4 people at a time.
Great, awesome. And I know we say that, well, we typically say the farm work is about 15 to 25 hours per week operating one of these farms, but I know you guys are in there a collaborating, and it's also about the connection and not just.
It's not just about the work, it's about the connection and the sociability and all that. And they really like coming in. It's nice and quiet until we put music on, of course, but the plants love music too.
Just because nobody asked this question, but what are some of your plants' most frequent songs or artists?
Rock and roll. Yeah.
We're rock and roll.
Big rock and roll. Yeah.
Kind of team.
Awesome. And someone from the audience would like to know, do the members have access to farmhand?
No, usually I just handle farmhand.
Okay.
And Karen also, we're getting her on the farmhand. So, I mean, it's a really great tool to be able to see. And I use it from home a lot. I check the farm first thing in the morning and see all the levels and how everything is going within it. So, yeah, it's a valuable tool, but you access to farmhand.
Okay. How do you go about training new members who want to work inside the farm?
Mostly we just throw them right into it.
Yeah.
Great. Love it.
Get your hands dirty, and we demonstrate one like it's super. And then we'll have them do something simple, and we kind of go from there.
All right. I think I got the gist of that. Throw them right in. Just a heads up that your Wi-Fi is cutting in and out, but we'll fill in the blanks where we need to. So someone asks, with so many volunteers coming and going, how do you maintain clean work habits, insect control, planting and harvesting schedules, etc.? I think that's a really interesting question.
Yeah, so we dedicate the last half an hour of the day to cleaning. We vacuum up all the dead leaves and everything off the floor. We sanitize good with Zerotol, all the surfaces that we work on. And there's always cleaning to be done in the farm. So some days during the week, we'll dedicate it just to, okay, today we got to scrub the floors. Today we got to clean the seedling tank. Today we have to clean the main tank. And it's a constant fight against algae. You have light and you have water, you have algae. So at the end of each day to make sure that everything is clean and sterile as possible.
And we do wear gloves and hairnets while we're in the unit, just to keep things sanitized as well, just like you would in a kitchen.
Awesome. So how frequently do the same members like to work in the farm? Are there some that come in every day? Like what's the variation?
We get people that really like to do it, and that's usually what they'll volunteer for when they come in. There's like maybe 3 or 4 members that are kind of steady. And then otherwise I'll just grab somebody, hey, you want to try this today? Hey, you want to try that today? And we'll go out to the farm and give them a little taste of it. Everybody's very fascinated with the farm when they first come, but I think they're also kind of intimidated until they get in there and actually do some of the work, because there's a lot of moving parts and it can be scary. I know it was for me when I first started to learn to use it, it was very scary. But yeah, there's like 3 or 4 members that are steady, and then other people trickle in and out and give it a try.
So this question's open to any of the 3 of you. Along the journey of starting this farm or starting working with the farm yourselves, what challenges did you face, or did the organization face, and how did you overcome them?
Basically, for me, it was learning the farm itself. I had little before me, and Joanna, who also worked in the farm. They gave me a lot of initial training, and then basically I just jumped in and learned it from there. Same way Karen is doing, just learning it piece by piece and trial and error, making mistakes, fixing mistakes, and doing it basically that way.
Cool.
I think some other like more interesting obstacles that we've like hit, which happened like when I joined the clubhouse. I don't know them in detail, but just overall, Texas had, a couple like very freezing weeks, And over the past few years, and especially in, was it 2021, I want to say spring of 2021. So just worrying about what might happen with the farm and our electricity supply. Thankfully it didn't go out, but taking into, just, you think that it's very controlled environment, the freight farm, but things like electricity will be out of your control, or pests. And so you really have to, thankfully we have like set procedures in place so that we really avoid getting pests in. But if that happens, like it will take, or something into the water supply, we just have to be very careful with that.
Yeah, totally. That relates well to our next question, which is, have you had issues with pests or plant disease or contamination? And if so, how did you resolve that?
We actually got a little virus. We never determined exactly what it was, but we had to completely start over. So we took with this kind of farming, you have to remove everything, because once it's in the water supply, it gets to everything. So you have to be very cautious. It could have come from the door being open and something coming in, or we really don't know. It could have been a bad seed or something like that. But yeah, in that case with the hydroponic, you really have to start from scratch. And so that's basically what we did. We started over and let our people know that it'll be a while before we could produce again. As far as pests go, we haven't had a lot of trouble. We did have some trouble with gnats at one time, but no pest sticky strips hung up in there are plant safe, and they work just fine. But otherwise, we really try to keep the door closed when people come in to avoid that problem.
Awesome. Makes sense. I'm glad that you were able to resolve those, and that
that we were able to take care of it and figure it out.
Awesome. So here's a great question for Mental Health Awareness Month and what you are doing specifically. Someone asks, are there sensory components that are lost with container farming versus traditional outdoor gardening? And do the container farms still give the satisfaction for the members that are working in there?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know. I've never been an outside farmer. I've only done it with the freight farms and the container. People really like, I think, the quiet that comes from being inside the container and kind of solitude. They're not surrounded by a lot of people. I think that's kind of a plus. I think, of course, you're going to miss the outside work, like the sun on your face and fresh air and stuff like that. But I don't think it really loses anything. I think it's a very different kind of experience, and it's good for people especially with sensitive sensory perceptions.
And with the tank filters and pumps, it sounds like there's water flowing, which is an interesting, still not really related, but still related to outside farming practices. So there's like a Zen quality to it as well that comes with this type of farming, as opposed to the more traditional plant and soil methods. So other things, other avenues of access.
Yeah. So you all don't feel like your members are missing out on anything by being indoors versus outdoors?
I don't think so. I think it's just like a totally unique experience for them.
If anything, I feel like it caters to some of the things that we deal with.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So someone asks, what training did you get and use? And my assumption is that they're talking about the Freight Farms farmer training. So we do a farm camp. It was virtual, now it's in person. Farmhand Academy or an on-site launch. I don't know if any of you were involved in that.
Brandon was, who originally, he was the very first to jump into the project. He took the training at Freight Farms.
So the in-person farm camp?
In-person farm camp. And so I learned the initial stuff from him.
Okay.
And after that, I'm always in touch with Freight Farms on the phone, and they're always very helpful in getting me past any problems or something, that I don't understand, or I can't ask Brandon, or if there's a problem to be solved. So I learned a lot from just communicating with freight farms as well. And the rest was just kind of hands-on and a lot of trial and error and just having to figure out the system, having to figure out what plants work for us best.
And as I transition in, it's been a lot of hands-on, on the fly training side by side with Tim, Brandon at one point as well. So yeah, I think mine is a unique experience. But yeah, I still feel like it's pretty easy to navigate as far as the software and the methods in general.
Awesome. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
All right, so I think that those are all of our questions. Do any of you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience?
Freight farming is a very unique experience, and everybody that comes through to visit the clubhouse always wants to see the farm.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things they're most excited about, and there's a lot of oohs and ahs. So it's a very fascinating piece of equipment, and it's a very unique and interesting way to grow food.
Great.
I think the possibilities of what this farm process and our programming can do for different types of communities and nonprofits is invaluable. I think, if anything, I was like, if y'all can do it, jump in and do it, because it's been life-changing for so many people in a good way.
Awesome. Josefina, any final
Oh,
thoughts?
yeah, sure. I just thought about this when someone asked the question about regular farming and hydroponic farming. And if you're thinking about like starting a farming business of sorts, consider, what type of environment you really want to work in, because I've done both and they're just so different. It's really like you can't compare. If you do want a more like pristine, controlled environment, then like a freight farm like this is perfect. But being outdoors obviously gets you like a different feeling. And I would say in Texas, maybe it's a little bit harder with all the heat and then drastic weather. But it can be more manageable like in other climates. So I just found that interesting when I joined. I didn't know what to expect, and that's the best way to go into it. Just consider what type of environment you'd want to work in. They're both fantastic, and like Tim said and Karen, they're just like it's just so super unique and extraordinary. I love that I was introduced to it, and I'd want to continue it for the rest of my life.
Well, I think that is a perfect way to wrap things up. So Josefina, Karen, Tim, thank you so much for joining us. Audience, thank you for being here, and have a great rest of your days.
Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks.
Bye, Katie.
Bye.